Hello, bonjour, 你好，Anya, hola，我是你的 boy CP。Hello，say hello。Get that garbage out of here.
What's good, everybody? This is CP, and welcome back to my NBA fantasy series. I'm here to identify potential sleepers and undervalued players that have a chance to break out or outplay their draft positions. If you haven't watched my last video yet, please do so with the link below as I talk about 10 players from the Atlantic and Southwest divisions. Today we will take a look at the Central Division and identify one player from each team that should be on your fantasy watch list. So without further ado, let's get it. Zach LaVine signed a 4-year $78 million offer sheet this summer, and the Chicago Bulls decided to match. Whenever a team gives a player close to $20 million a year, they expect him to contribute a lot. In fantasy terms, this is a great opportunity for LaVine to put up career stats across the board. He will likely be given all the minutes he can handle and have one of the highest usage rates on the team. LaVine averaged 16.7 points in 24 games last season after missing out most of the year recovering from his ACL injury. If he can stay healthy all season, he could easily average 20 points, 5 assists, and 4 rebounds per game. I've seen him ranked as low as 73rd overall among shooting guards, which is insanely low, but expect his draft stock to rise when a lot of managers catch on closer to the start of the season. I will go as far as saying that he has potential to become a top 10 fantasy shooting guard next season, so don't be afraid to reach for him earlier than you think you should. With LeBron James gone, there's a huge hole left at the small forward position in Cleveland. Right now, they don't have many players to choose from to fill that hole. With both Kyle Korver and Channing Frye in the twilight of their careers, a young player like Cedi Osman has a clear path to take a large chunk of those minutes. Expect him to get a huge bump from the 11 minutes he averaged last season. At 23 years old, it is likely that the Cavs will give Osman a shot to develop into a full-time starter next season. In his best performance last year, he posted 18.7 assists and 6 rebounds, so expect to see a lot more of that this year. On ESPN, he is currently ranked the 70th best small forward, which is crazy considering that Osman has a great chance to become a top 100 fantasy player next year. Simply put, no one should sleep on Cedi, as he has potential to be one of the biggest fantasy risers next season. To be honest, I don't think the Milwaukee Bucks have any huge breakout players or fantasy steals on their roster this year. But if I had to choose one player that could outplay their draft position, it would be Malcolm Brogdon. After winning the Rookie of the Year back in 2017, Brogdon was somewhat of a fantasy disappointment last season. Eric Bledsoe's arrival was a huge reason for that, as Brogdon's usage rate diminished and was even forced to come off the bench. So coming into this season, Brogdon's draft stock won't be as high, and you could probably find him in the mid to late rounds. In a deep 12-team league, I would consider him to be a very solid insurance pickup later in the draft, especially if you need a guard with dual position versatility. Brogdon is a proven fantasy contributor and the scoring is there. If a player like Giannis or Bledsoe goes down anytime during the season, Brogdon could possibly become a top 75 fantasy player. With Blake Griffin and Andre Drummond occupying the front court, the Detroit Pistons will desperately need shooters in the other 3 positions. The Pistons don't have many dead-eye shooters in their lineup, which gives a player like Kennard huge upside. As a rookie, Kennard finished top 10 in 3-point shooting percentage last season, averaging 41.5% beyond the arc. Many people feel that Stan Van Gundy didn't utilize Kennard's skill set properly, but with Dwayne Casey in the picture, we might see him better used in the rotation. If used properly, Kennard's spot-up shooting ability alone can make him a 15 to 20 point player. Aside from that, he has great playmaking abilities and can create his own shot. If Casey gives him more ball handling duties, he could be a sneaky good ad, with potential to become a top 20 shooting guard by the end of next season. Even though Domantas Sabonis had somewhat of a breakout season last year, there's a chance that the 22-year-old can put up even better numbers this year. He is currently the team's backup center but is on the brink of earning starting minutes. The Pacers might decide to go big and have him and Miles Turner on the floor at the same time throughout the season. In 19 games as a starter last season, Sabonis averaged 13 points and 10 rebounds per game. His per 36-minute stats were around 17 points and 11 rebounds. It's fair to say that his defensive numbers could be better, but if the Pacers give him more playing time, Sabonis can easily average a double-double. Miles Turner gets more hype and is likely getting drafted a lot earlier than Sabonis, but truthfully speaking, his numbers aren't that much better. Unless Turner goes on to have a major breakout season, you might be better off using a late pick on Sabonis, as he might turn out to be one of the biggest late round bargains at the center position. So that's a look at 5 potentially undervalued players in the Central Division. Who do you think will outplay their draft positions the most this upcoming season? Let me know in the comment sections below, and I'll see everybody next time.